Okay, so good morning, class. This is our recording for Module 5 in the affective domain, or how do you assess the affective domain. Now, if you recall, our previous modules and some of our lessons, or majority of our lessons in Assessment in Learning 1, focuses on the cognitive and on the psychomotor domains of learning. Now, hindi na bago sa atin ang pagtingin sa domains of learning as three parts. Okay, so you have the cognitive domain, then you have the psychomotor domain, followed by the affective domain. Okay, so this module talks about how do you assess the affective domain. Okay, kasi ang this discussion when it comes to the assessment of affective domain is it's really hard, okay, as stated by Navarro et al. Because this focuses more on the non-observable qualities such as emotions and values such as conscience and empathy, sabi ni Navarro and Santos. Kasi nga naman, how can we say that a person is good? How can we say that a person is honest? Lalong-lalo na kung wala tayong mga opportunities to observe such displays of values. That's why this domain is quite hard to measure. Okay? However, of course, we cannot discount the fact that disposition and attitudes is important not only in the lesson, but also in our everyday lives. Okay? That's why, nung pinapagawa kayo ng lesson plan, sometimes sinasabi ng mga teachers ninyo na, maglagay kayo ng at least one objective under each domain. Okay? Pero alam natin, sa assessment, tinatanong natin, hindi lang dapat lagay ka ng lagay. Dapat planuhin mo rin kung paano mo i-measure yung mga nilagay mong objectives. Okay? But for now, we talk first about the taxonomy on the affective domain. Now, just to give you a brief of history, as discussed by Navarro and et al., it all started when Benjamin Bloom and his colleagues decided to make, or propose different taxonomies for learning. So as we all know, si Bloom siya yung gumawa ng Bloom's taxonomy of learning, which particularly focuses on the cognitive domain of learning. Kasama niya rin sila Krathwohl. If I remember correctly, hindi si Simpson yung kasama niya. I forgot. Is it Dave? I do not really remember. Kasi tatlo nga yung ating psychomotor domain, right? We have Dave, Simpson, and No, it's not Anderson. I forgot the other one. I'm so sorry. Okay? But nonetheless, yung tatlong taxonomy na ito, one for each, one for cognitive, yung isa naging tatlo for the psychomotor, and the other one na hanggang ngayon ay ginagamit, napunta sa affective domain. Okay? This has later become known as Krathwohl's affective taxonomy. Okay? So sabi dito, okay, learners, combining this with the learner set notion, okay, should be able to exhibit emotion during the learning process. The developing of the affective domain is an end and means to the holistic development of learners. Ano ibig sabihin nun? It means that the end goal of learning, or one of the end goals of learning, is to have a developed affective domain. Is to have a developed values or traits or attitudes. And at the same time, in order for you to learn properly, you must have a good disposition towards learning, a good attitude towards learning. Okay? So sabi ni Corpuz Salandanan, yung affective learning ni Krathwohl, okay? Sabi dito, let me read kung ano yung sinabi ni Corpuz Salandanan. Krathwohl's affective learning is demonstrated by behaviors indicating attitudes of awareness, interest, attention, values on concern, responsibility, listening to others, responding to others, and demonstrating the attitudinal characteristics or values that are appropriate to a situation or to a field of study. So dito na po nakapasok lahat ng ating personality when it comes to a particular situation. How do you respond to the situation? How do you value a situation? Etc. etc. Okay? So the overall process of the affective learning is to instill humanity in a human. Okay? Sabi nga nila, some humans are not humane. Diba? Weird na yung adjective na humane ay hindi applicable sa lahat ng tao. Kahit na ang root word ng humane ay human. Okay? So, ang affective learning, what this does, ang pinaka-end goal nito is to ensure that we humans remain humane. Okay? And we note that the taxonomy published by Krathwohl focuses on the internalization principle. When we say internalization, this is how you integrate a particular value in your everyday life, regardless kung meron nanonood or wala. Okay? So, some of us, minsan meron tayong value na thriftiness, right? So, yung iba, sa atin, nagtitipid kahit gusto ng coffee because we believe, we value the value of money in buying our needs rather than our wants. That's one of the attitudes that some of us internalize in our everyday life. Of course, yung iba, ini-internalize yung honesty. Okay? Yung pag nakakita ng opportunity to get something, titignan muna kung it can damage someone or if it's someone else's opportunity. For example, nakita ka ng pera sa daan, right? Yun yung ginagamit na example ng teachers. Okay? You think first. You get the money and then you ask around. You wait for people to look for the money that is missing. Okay? You do not just keep it then walk away. Okay? Antahin mo muna, then check. Tanong ka sa surroundings, baka meron naghahanap. Okay? So, what you see here in this particularly highlighted figure is Krathwohl's affective learning taxonomy. Okay, so just like Bloom's revised taxonomy, you start from the bottom going up. So the first level you see here is receiving. After receiving, you go to responding, then you go to valuing, organizing, and then internalizing values. This is also known as characterizing. Okay, so as you can see here in table 1, okay, table 1 helps you to see the description for each level, what learning outcomes are there in a particular level, verbs that you can use in creating your learning competencies, and sample objectives. These are all provided by Corpuz and Salandanan in their 2015 publication. Okay, so let me just zoom out a bit. Don't worry, you will have a soft copy of this module kapag hindi nyo makita on this recording. So let's talk first about the first level, receiving. This refers to the learner's sensitivity on the existence of certain ideas, materials, and phenomena, and the willingness to respond to a particular phenomena. Okay, you have to take note of the word willingness here. Okay, mamaya natin pakita yan. Pero ang note nyo muna dito is yung willingness muna. The existence, okay, the awareness of the existence of a certain idea and the willingness to respond. Okay, so ang learning outcomes mo dito, okay, it's simply the simple awareness. Okay, it's the acknowledgement of the existence of one scenario, one value, or one topic. Okay, one of the pet peeves ko in the past few days is this. I see people on the internet that denies the Holocaust happening. Okay, now yung Holocaust, if you do not know, this is one of the more horrific events that happened in World War II, wherein the Nazi Germany has executed thousands, okay, or maybe even more, but many Jews. Okay, pinapunta sila sa mga slave labor camps, and then they killed them in the gas chambers. Okay, so this is a very horrific event. Okay, but it's disheartening to see some people on the internet. I'm not sure if they are ironically or seriously, but nonetheless, they are denying the events of the Holocaust, even if Germany acknowledges its atrocities. Okay? So yung mga people that deny this happened, it means hindi sila umabot sa level ng receiving. Because what? Because they deny it. Okay? They denied something that historically happened. Okay? So, ano yung sample objective mo dito or yung mga verbs na ginagamit dito? Ang verbs mo dito is differentiate, accepts, listens, responds to, asks, chooses, identifies, etc., etc. And sample objective na binigay ni Corpuz Salandanan is this: listens attentively, shows sensitivity to social problems. So for example, yung objective pala na listens attentively to the explanation on the definition of fractions. Affective domain na pala iyon. Okay? So, pwede ka na maglagay ng isang affective domain sa iyong objective pag nakikinig sila attentively. Okay? But, again, how do you measure if they're listening attentively? Pag nakatingin ba sila sa'yo? Pag ngumingiti sila habang nakikinig sa'yo? Okay? Or, pag meron bang reaction. Pag nakakunot ba yung noo, ibig sabihin hindi nakikinig. Pag nakakross ba yung arms, ibig sabihin hindi nakikinig. So, you also have to ask these questions. Okay? The next level, after they receive it, they go to responding. So, yung una, sabi ko sa inyo, i-note nyo yung willingness to respond. Because the next level is actually responding na. Okay? Yun yung pinaka-focus ng itong second level. So, the sample verbs as suggested by Corpuz Salandanan is this: answers, assist, complies, discusses, reads, writes, reports, etc., etc. So, ang pinaka-goal mo dito is to get an output from the learners, to get their opinion, to get their say, to get what they know, what they have gathered from your lesson. Because when they respond, at the very least, ang pinapakitang level na nun ay responding. Okay? When they contribute to a group activity, that is at the very least already responding. Okay? So, yun po ang pag-respond natin. Ang responding, ito yung mas madaling ma-measure because you see, you observe their response. Nakikita mo na meron talaga silang output, na meron silang sinabi, meron silang sinulat, meron silang ginawa, meron silang binasa verbally. Okay? So, ang responding sa affective domain, it's the easier one to measure compared to just receiving. The next you have valuing. Okay? This is when a student attaches a worth or value to a phenomena, object, or behavior. Okay? So let's add the other one. Sabi yan dito, willingness to be perceived by others as valuing certain ideas, materials, or phenomena. Okay? So for example, when I ask a student, are you against or for divorce? Okay? Very old example. However, when a student answers, on the very least, responding yun. However, when a student decided which side they value more, which side they empathize more, then that is already valuing. When you already attach emotions, when you already attach value to a particular phenomena, object, or behavior. Sabi ni Corpuz Salandanan dito, this ranges from simpler acceptance to a higher level of commitment. Okay? So, kasama na rin yung pag-commit mo doon sa particular phenomena na yon. Okay? So, what are example skills here? Number 1, to improve group skills, to assume responsibility for the effective functioning of the group, and to appreciate the role of science in everyday lives, etc., etc. These are only sample objectives, okay? So, nakikita nyo dito na when you value, you put more effort into a particular skill. So, hindi mo lang binasa, sinamarize mo at tinignan yung mga important parts, okay? Hindi ka lang tumulong sa group. In-ensure mo na yung productivity ng group ay tuloy-tuloy. Okay? Hindi mo lang sinabi yung piece mo, pero sinabi mo rin kung paano maa-appreciate ng ibang tao yung isang particular aspect ng natutunan ninyo. Okay? So, dito na papasok yung reflection ng learner. So, one of the ways to actually gauge valuing is through their reflection paper. Kasi pag nag-reflect ka, di ba, magre-respond sila. So, yun yung lowest na ma-measure mo pag nagpa-reflection ka. However, by crafting the problem, by having them choose a side, by having them identify how important one thing is in their everyday lives, then that shows valuing among the students. Pag sinabi niya, hindi valuable para sa akin to, may value pa rin yun. Because they perceive one phenomena to have no or to have low value. Ano yung kailangan mo establish dito? You have to establish what level of value or worth your students give to your lesson. Okay? So next you have organizing. Okay, mahaba-haba ito, ang dami-dami. Basahin natin isa-isa. According to Corpuz Salandanan, ang organizing ay number 1, relating the value to those already held and bringing it into a harmonious and internally consistent value system or philosophy. Now, every one of your students get value from the new lessons that they are exposed to. Now, yung mga bagong lesson, minsan merong conflict doon sa kanila ng nalalaman. When your students internalize those conflicts, they try to build, okay? They try to complete an equilibrium between what they already know, okay, and the new thing that they have learned, okay? Once these two clash, there will be a new system that will arrive, okay? It's either may incorporate yung bago, okay, mangingibabaw yung luma, or mangingibabaw yung bago. Dito papasok yung concept of constructivism. Okay? Now, wherein you can have assimilation, accommodation, or equilibration. Okay? Kung hindi nyo po maalala, this is according to the theory of John Piaget as well, the cognitive development theory. Pasok din po iyon sa values pala. Okay? Bringing together different values, resolving conflicts, and building an internally consistent value system. Okay? Comparing, synthesizing values to develop a philosophy of life. So, ano lagi sinasabi nila? What these definitions all say is that when you are organizing, you are molding different values para magkaroon ka ng isang consistent na way of life, consistent value system. Okay? So, minsan nangyari ito sa mga relationships. Diba? When your partner did something you do not like, okay, yun yung bagong value mo. Okay? You're exposed to the value of others. And then, that conflicts with your already established value. Ayaw ko yung lagi siya nagbe-message, parang walang ibang buhay. Diba? And then, you organize. Which is more important? How do you find an equilibrium between these two values na siya, na lagi nagchat-chat, ikaw na ayaw ng laging nagchat-chat? Where is the middle ground? How do you find an internally consistent system? In the classroom naman, paano ito? Okay? When you incorporate something new, for example, yung mga bata, nakabasa ng fake news. So, yun na yung kanilang bagong value. Nabasa nila yung fake news. And then ikaw, nagturo ka, tinuro mo yung proper, yung factual news. Okay? Yung factual news, kumukontra yun sa fake news na nalaman ng bata. Okay? And then, what's your goal? Your goal is to eliminate the fake facts, the fake information that your students have gathered. Okay? Para mangibabaw yung purely facts lamang. Okay? So, now, an example of objective here, as said by Corpuz Salandanan, is this: to recognize the need for balance between freedom and responsibility in a democracy. Freedom and responsibility. two that ideas that are somehow contradicting, but can be made into a internally consistent system. Sabi nga nila, your freedom is limited by the rights of others. Okay? So, ganun po yung isang idea ng organizing. Hanggang saan ka makaka-practice ng freedom in such a way na hindi mo naaapakan yung karapatan ng ibang tao. And then, when you have that idea in your mind, you will now organize. Alin yung mga values na pwede mong kunin, alin yung mga actions na pwede mong gawin pa na nililimitahan ng karapatan ng iba. Okay, so that is organizing. And then the highest level is characterization. So at this level, okay, the person has held a value system that has controlled his or her behavior for a sufficiently long period of time. Meron na siyang lifestyle na na-develop. Behavior is pervasive, consistent, and predictable. Objectives are concerned with personal, social, and emotional adjustment. What does this all mean? When you characterize, when you internalize, meron ka ng personality na matagal nang nasa iyo. Okay? This is evident when you ask, ano yung tingin mo sa classmate mo? Okay? And then, kung ano yung answer ko, yun yung characterization ng isang bata. Lalo na kapag pare-pareho kami ng sagot. Okay? So, again, when you characterize, you personalize, you personify the values that you have organized for a long period of time in such a way that your value system, yung system na nagawa mo sa organizing, ay matagal na hindi na nababago, or at the very least, madali nang ma-observe sa isang tao. So, some examples of this one is, according to Corpuz Salandanan, again, wala pa tayong kinukuha, dapat na proper citing tayo. Ha? So, hopefully, isa yun sa mga character na makuha ninyo, yung proper citation of works. Di ba? Kasi mahirap po, nag-effort yung ibang tao na gumawa ng ganito, and then we do not cite them. That's problematic. So, yeah, you'll see me recording, and then I'll say my citations, and I want to practice that as part of my character. So, pwede nang pumasok yun sa characterization ko. Okay? So one of the examples here is this. To display self-reliance in working independently. Okay, so self-reliance. Nakikita mo na kaya niya mag-work independently over a long period of time. Nung first sem pa lang, nag-work na siya independently. Prelims, midterm, finals. Consistent yung work niya na kaya niyang mag-independent learning. It means, character na ng bata iyon. Ay, itong batang ito, laging kalmado. Okay? Pag may problema, hindi mo na nagsasalita, ina-analyze mo na. Laging ganon. So, ibig sabihin, may characterization na. What's important to understand here is that characterization talks about consistent behavior. Okay? Hindi mo lang siya makikita in one instance, pero makikita mo in the everyday lives of the learners. So, ang mga objectives under characterization, matagal po yang ina-assess. So, hindi ka pwedeng maglagay ng characterization na objective kung ang lesson mo ay isang week lang. Okay? Maaaring dapat isang buwan, maaaring dapat isang buong quarter para makita yung characterization. Again, characterization is not made for short lessons. Okay? So, again, with the affective domain, is a common topic, according to Navarro Santos ito ha. Now, common topic na daw ang affective domain in the research community. However, okay, it is the most difficult to assess compared to the other domains of learning. Kasi nga, karamihan ng mga values ay hindi observable. Diba? Yung receiving, mahirap i-observe. Valuing, of course, mahirap din. Di mo sali organizing. Kasi hindi mo naman nakikita yung internal conflicts ng mga bata pag nakakuha sila ng bagong value. Okay? So, what's important here is you define your objectives in an observable manner. Kahit mahirap siyang i-assess, it's not impossible to assess. Okay? So, ang affective domain, what does this require? It requires teachers to understand what behaviors are observable, how behaviors can be made observable, and how behaviors can be permeable, okay, in the instances outside of the classroom and inside of the classroom. Okay? Again, we also have to note na hindi po natin sinasama yung development ng affective domain sa grades ng learners. Okay? So, ang sinasama natin doon yung cognitive and psychomotor. Okay? Yung mga performance assessment nila, mga cognitive assessment nila. Ang affective assessment, hindi po siya sinasama sa summative grades or sa summative assessment. But, we acknowledge its importance in the holistic development of learners. And how do we do that? How do we ensure na meron tayong affective domain and affective objective sa lesson? We look back to the affective domain suggested by Krathwohl. Okay, and then we select which is appropriate for your lesson. Kung hanggang saang level. Okay? Usually ganito naman yan. Pag bago pa lang, receiving. Pag medyo gitna na ng lesson, responding, valuing, organizing. Pag patapos na, pwede ka na mag-internalizing. Pero minsan, kahit hanggang organizing ka lang, okay na. Because not all lessons are to be taught in 1 month. Ibang mga lesson 1 week lang. Okay? So, mahirap nang makita yung internalizing doon. So, okay lang kahit umabot ka sa organizing. Okay? So, it's already 27 minutes. That's it for this recording. The entirety of the affective domain. Okay? So, I hope to see you all in the next recording again. I hope you have a good day. Bye, class.